Many Canadians have battled their way through 2020 and have some lofty goals for 2021 about losing the quarantine 15 they somehow gained over the last year. If you have effortlessly picked up some pounds in 2020 and want to learn how to get rid of it for good, stick with me and I'll show you how. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused several challenges, including job losses, canceled weddings and graduations, online school, working from home, and so much more. However, one challenge that many of us have struggled with is weight gain. So much so that the internet has now called it the Quarantine 15. My name is Dr. Maille. I'm a Naturopathic Doctor here in the GTA, and I have created this 3-part video series to help you understand the reasons behind your Quarantine 15 and how to get back to pre-pandemic weight. I've seen many patients who are struggling to lose weight and focus all their energy in the wrong places. Through social media and ads, we are constantly provided ideas for rapid weight loss, 21-day detoxes, and quick, fad diets. When sometimes there are underlying issues that we need to understand before we can start losing weight. The root cause should always be addressed before looking to fix any health issues. If we don't solve the underlying problem, the weight gain will continue and more symptoms may present themselves. The first culprit for weight gain over this year is stress. I know this seems obvious, but hear me out. Everyone knows they're stressed, right? But do you know how that stress is impacting your body and what stress is really doing on the inside? This past year has had most of us feeling incredibly stressed, anxious, or just plain exhausted. We've been dealing with this pandemic for close to a year now. This means increased feelings of anxiety for our health, our family's health of our friends, working from home, canceled school, online learning, economic challenges, wearing masks, gym closures, and social events being canceled. So what does this have to do with weight gain? Let's take a look at what stress does to the body. Once the brain has processed that something stressful has happened or we're in danger, we enter a sympathetic state. You may know this as the fight or flight mode. When we're in this fight or flight mode, messages from the brain are sent down to our adrenal gland, which sit just above the kidneys. When the adrenal glands become activated, they secrete the hormone adrenaline. We all know what it feels like to have a lot of adrenaline. Your heart starts to race, your breath may be increased, you feel anxious, nervous, or excited. Adrenaline also increases our blood sugar levels and fatty acids in the blood to make energy stores available for use. Adrenaline increases are a type of stress on the body, but this doesn't necessarily mean something bad or dangerous is happening. You could be watching an exciting sports game or having a great workout. Adrenaline would also be high in these cases. But our bodies cannot sustain high amounts of adrenaline for long periods of time. This is why the hormone cortisol is secreted. Cortisol is also secreted from the adrenals. Cortisol continues the job that adrenaline was doing by making fatty acids available in the bloodstream as well as increasing glucose. But what does this have to do with weight gain? The release of fatty acids and glucose in the blood lead to an increase in the hormone called insulin. Insulin is another hormone in our body which can promote weight gain. The job of insulin is to help the body absorb sugar from the bloodstream into our cells. When cortisol leads to the release of glucose into the bloodstream and it isn't used up by the body, insulin is signaled to take this glucose from the blood and bring it into our cells. Cells then store this excess energy as fat. Over chronic periods of time, this fat starts to accumulate. The fat usually accumulates around the midsection, sometimes called the cortisol belly. So, as you can now see, weight gain can actually be a symptom rather than the actual issue at hand. So what happens if this issue with the cortisol isn't solved? Well, for starters, the weight gain may continue if we don't address this root cause. Also, as I'm sure you know, it doesn't feel good to be stressed. Constantly feeling stressed takes away from your life and decreases enjoyment. It's hard to have too much fun when you're constantly feeling stressed. It can also mean interrupted sleep, lack of focus, muscle tightness, and pain. Take a second and answer these 2 questions for me. Is your jaw clenched? Are your shoulders up near your ears? If you said yes, take a second. Shake it out, unclench your jaw, and lower your shoulders. On top of just not feeling good and causing weight gain, stress plays a huge role in nearly every chronic disease. Stress causes our blood pressure to increase, our heart rates and blood sugar levels to spike, and inflammatory factors to be released in the body. All of these factors play a role in major disease like heart disease and diabetes. When we're stressed, we are in a sympathetic state, this fight or flight mode I talked about before. When we're in this mode of fight or flight, our bodies aren't concerned with non-essential things or long-term goals like digestion or procreation. This means that chronic stress can negatively impact our digestion, causing issues like irritable bowel syndrome, as well as infertility. Stress also decreases our body's ability to mount a proper immune response, which is more important than ever right now. However, if you spend time fixing this root issue of increased stress, you won't just lose weight, but you're going to gain a happier and healthier life. Yes, decreasing stress may help you lose weight and make you feel better about yourself. But it will also decrease your risk for so many chronic diseases. It can improve relationships in your life, increase your confidence, help you succeed at work, and increase your pleasure and happiness in life. Stress will always be around. It's how we react to stress, which is important. One of the best ways to improve our body's response to both acute and chronic stress is exercise. We want to aim for about 20 to 30 minutes of physical activity per day to start. A combination of both resistance training and cardio is best. Right now, with gyms closed and the cold weather, there's not a lot of motivation for exercise. I get it. So something that may help is setting an activity alarm. Every day, set an alarm on each hour. When the alarm goes off, do some sort of activity for 2 to 5 minutes, whatever works in your day. This activity can be anything you want to do. Running on a spot, push-ups, squats, walking around in your house. And if you set an alarm on every hour for the entire workday, you'll hit your 20 to 40 minutes easily. Yoga can help reduce the tension that builds in your muscle with stress. I like the Yoga with Adriene videos on YouTube. They're free and she has a wide variety of videos from beginners to more advanced videos. Allowing yourself just 5 minutes a day to clear our brains of to-do lists and worries can be extremely helpful in limiting stress. I like to use an app to guide you through meditation. I'm currently using the app Balance, but other apps such as Calm or Headspace are great meditation tools. Sometimes throughout the day, stress builds. When you find yourself getting into this state, stop. Stand up or at least look away from your screen if you can. Take a deep breath, hold it, and then take a long breath out of your mouth. Take breaks in your day at home if possible. Taking just 1 to 2 minutes to walk around, stretch, and drink some water can be really helpful. Remember, if you are taking breaks, eat. Eat away from your work, eat away from your laptop, and try to be mindful of what you're eating. Now, when stressed, one of the most common reactions is to binge on food. So much so that we've now turned junk food or unhealthy food into comfort food. And there's a good reason behind this. The increase in cortisol that I talked about before causes a spike in your blood sugar. And then that hormone insulin comes and brings that sugar back into your cells. This results in a drop in our blood sugar. So of course we're going to be craving something sweet. If you find yourself falling into that 3 p.m. crash where you're craving cookies or chips, you want to try and fill up on lower sugar foods earlier on in the day. So these are things like fish or eggs or whole grains. So instead of reaching for something like cookies, if you still want to try and satisfy that craving, try having something like dark chocolate and almonds or peanut butter with some sweet potato. On top of lifestyle changes, we can also use some supplements to help balance out this stress. Now, not everyone needs to supplement, and you always want to check with your healthcare practitioner before starting any new supplements. But a group of supplements called adaptogens can really be useful at times of increased stress. Adaptogens are types of supplements that come from herbs or sometimes mushrooms. They help the body deal with high amounts of stress by regulating our stress response. Adaptogens are neat because they regulate rather than just suppress the stress response. The difference here is that if someone is burnt out and their cortisol is actually really low after a long period of time of spiking, the adaptogens can actually help level out the cortisol levels and bring them back into a healthy balance. There are different types of adaptogens depending on where you are on that stress scale. Some adaptogens are more stimulating, while some are more sedating. For example, the herb ginseng is an adaptogen, and it's more stimulating. It's used to improve cognitive function, physical performance, and endurance, while the herb ashwagandha is also an adaptogen, but this is used to decrease anxiety and promote sleep. Some great combined supplements that I like are OrthoAdapt by AOR, Adrenal Flow by CanFrev, or Adrenal Sap by NFH. It's always best to get some testing done in order to see where you are on the stress spectrum before supplementing. Your naturopathic doctor will give you specific tests based on your individual symptoms. Some tests I usually like to run on patients who are generally fatigued and stressed are B12, iron, folate, TSH, and vitamin D. It's important to know that wherever you are on this stress scale, you can definitely make some positive changes. Decreasing your stress can help you fit back into those jeans again, but also help you enjoy your life more. Now, this is only the first piece of our puzzle. Be sure to join me for part 2, where we look at other reasons behind your quarantine fatigue. We want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments below about stress-busting strategies that have worked for you or ones that you've learned and are going to try. Stay tuned for next time.